Ziggy took the big tuna for our show here. So Ziggy, let's go over to you. What is the Monday morning headline that you're expecting?
So for this game, I'm going to what I think, all bias aside, I think is obviously the biggest game of the week. The San Francisco 49ers are traveling to Green Bay in a game that both teams, I think, are pretty eager to win as they're competing for those wild card spots in the NFC. Here's what I think the headline's going to be. San Francisco's coming into Green Bay. They've been a little bit inconsistent, especially on defense. Love is in the air. I think this is the game. Jordan Love, everybody's been on me for saying that his game last week wasn't great. I know the numbers were okay, but we haven't seen primetime Jordan Love yet. I think this game, it's a 4:25 game rather than a 1 o'clock game, which I think will help. It's a little bit later in the day, a little bit more time for the love to get brewing. And I think this will be the game against the 49ers defense that has had some good weeks, but also some pretty terrible weeks in a game where the Green Bay Packers are really trying to prove themselves. I think this is the week where we see that second half of last year, Jordan Love, and he's unleashed.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time of year now. This is what, week 12. Week 12 coming up, and this is about time where Jordan Love is due to turn it on. There are a couple stadiums in the NFL, a couple places where you play, where you are surprised. Like, you watch a game and you are surprised if a team loses at home, especially Green Bay and a team like Pittsburgh, teams like that. Now, this being 4:25, like you said, Ziggy, more time for the fans to drink and tailgate and get loud and get rowdy.
They don't do that in Wisconsin.
I do like Green Bay in this spot as well. It's tough that San Francisco is off a loss. They're going to come in with their heads on fire off a 3-point loss at home to Seattle. I just don't think that San Francisco right now is the San Francisco that we believe we've seen in these last couple of years. Massive spot for Green Bay at home. Gonna be rowdy inside of Lambeau Field. I do like the Packers laying a small 2.5 here at home in Lambeau Field. I agree with you. I like Green Bay.
So you think Love will also be in the air?
I think Love's always in the air.
I feel like, you have some good options there, Ziggy. I was thinking, can you feel the love tonight? Like, there's a bunch of things. By the way, I think that's
if this were a night game, that's what I would go with. But 4:25, 3:25 in Wisconsin's a little too early for that.
Can you feel the love this afternoon?
That's pretty good. This is a massive opportunity for Green Bay. I was listening to I actually just read a quick article for Locked On Packers, and I thought they brought up a great point that, this is almost like playing a playoff game with San Francisco right now. You get it in Green Bay, because if San Francisco loses this, they're probably, they could fall back. They can start falling back here. I don't think they have the tiebreakers in the division either at the moment. So you get a win here. They don't want to play San Francisco in the playoffs. I said this on the last show. No one does. Like, here's your opportunity. You can put San Francisco in a really difficult position. Not only that, but you don't want to be the 7 seed in the NFC. The 7 seed's going to, in all likelihood, either be going to Philadelphia or Detroit, assuming that they win their divisions. I still hope the Vikings could catch the Lions, but let's say things stand where they are right now. A loss right here has the Packers tied with the Commanders, who have a light schedule the rest of this season. Like, you want to hold on to that 5 or 6 spot and go up against potentially the Cardinals or the Falcons. I mean, the gap between going to Atlanta or Arizona and Seattle is I think we all agree it's massive. A huge opportunity for the Packers at home. And I'm actually kind of leaning the other way right now. I'd love to see the Packers actually win this because I want San Francisco removed. But I'm thinking that this is the game where Christian McCaffrey's now had 2 games under him. He can get going a little bit. He looked better. He wasn't McCaffrey last week, but he looked better. And San Francisco, they do have their backs against the wall. Like, this is it. They know it. Every NFL fan knows it. If they don't go into Green Bay and win this football game, they're in a lot of trouble. And I think that they have that championship DNA, that championship ability to lock in when it matters. And I just haven't seen, Green Bay. I think that San Francisco all year has been losing games that they probably should win. And Green Bay all year has been winning games that they probably should lose. And this just feels like a spot to me where San Francisco, who has traditionally beaten up Green Bay and crushing losses recently, continues that. I know no Packers fans want to hear it, but that's where my thoughts are at.
Well, here's what Packers fans do want to hear. Brock Purdy's shoulder has really been in some pain. There's a chance he won't even be able to play. In practice today, he didn't throw a single pass.
Wait, I'm sorry. You think there's a chance Brock Purdy doesn't play?
That's what they're saying.
No way.
I think it's likely he plays. It's very likely, but he's certainly not going to be playing 100% if on Wednesday you're not willing to let him throw a single pass. So if Brock Purdy's not 100%, I think that's certainly going to hurt the 49ers, which just means there's even more reason for the Packers to capitalize on this revenge spot. You listen to Jordan Love talking about this game, right? And you can just tell the 49ers have been stewing about losing to the Chiefs the way they did. Well, the Packers have been stewing about losing to the 49ers the way they did. And right, they had this game circled on their calendar in a way the 49ers didn't. I know the 49ers now it's like back against the wall. They're reeling. The Packers have been hunting this game. I think since the offseason, this was the game that they said, we want to go in. They're coming into our building. This one's going to go differently. And honestly, I think with that kind of motivation with the 49ers, again, you don't want to be in a situation in the NFL. Their backs aren't quite against the wall, but they're defensive. That's a really tough spot to motivate a team. The Packers, there's going to be no issue there.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Ziggy. Is this Niners team knocked him out of the playoffs last year against San Fran in a game that Green Bay had probably should have won, in my eyes, and probably most people's eyes as well.
Won. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And now you get them on your home field. It's like, all right, you guys knocked us out last year. We're going to take a big step now in keeping you guys out. And I do believe that happens. And Green Bay, they're a blue sky franchise. This is the spot. This is the week where there's been Packers fans mixed 50-50 the last couple of weeks, barely beating the Bears. Some other people saying, oh, it's a division win on the road. Look, we won, blah, blah. And I get both angles. This just feels like the spot now where they're at home, national TV, 425 against the defending NFC champions who beat them last year. I feel like Jordan Love plays a hell of a game on Sunday. And all those Packers fans who are on the fence are suddenly back on board. That's what this feels like this week. I think Green Bay wins this game handily.
Really? Handily? Okay. This is a launching pad game to me. That's how I'm viewing it. Either team that wins this one is going to come out feeling great because the Packers put San Francisco behind them, and it's a great win. That's a big win that gives you a lot of confidence the rest of the season, and you're chasing down even the NFC North to a degree. They have Detroit again, and San Francisco. They go into Green Bay and win. To me, it's like, all right, all systems go. We're chasing down Arizona to win the division as well. I think whoever wins this one is going to start up a little winning streak, and possibly, that could carry into the playoffs. It's a huge game. We all know that. A couple big injuries, real quick. I just want to point out, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention it. Nick Bosa is questionable right now. He left the game last week against Seattle. If Nick Bosa doesn't play, I mean, that's you got to think Jordan Love is staying up at night right now, like refreshing his phone, looking for Nick Bosa injury updates. If he's off the field, what a huge hit to the 49ers pass rush. That in that case, I might change my mind a little bit on, I think that Nick Bosa is potentially the biggest impact, unless if Brock Purdy were to miss the game. You'd remove him from the 49ers defense and a lot changes.
Trent Williams, I think, could be a really big one, too. We've seen without him on the left side of the offensive line, another game time decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the defense is inconsistent. The offensive line has been inconsistent. If your stars aren't 100%, that's the sort of thing the Packers need to be able to exploit.
And one more guy, Jair Alexander, is still questionable at this point in time, heading into the week. The Green Bay defense, love or hate Jair, he's the best cornerback they have in that room. And, this is a week with Debo. Juwan Jennings has been awesome coming in this year, stepping up, especially with Brandon Ayuk out. He's someone that Jair, hopefully Green Bay is looking to get back. George Kittle should be back as well. That's another piece for San Francisco. So some key players who are banged up and questionable for this one that we're going to have to pay attention to as we get closer. But just to finish it off here, Ziggy, you say Love is in the air and the Packers win. You say Packers win big and I have San Francisco close. That sounds right.
You ever seen Scooby-Doo?
Of course. Everyone has seen. Yeah.
You know what Scooby-Doo is?
Of course.
Like Shaggy and all. Okay. I'll just make sure. There was a villain in Scooby-Doo who was the minor 49er.
Really?
Yeah. His name was the Minor 49er.
Did you like watch that episode recently or something?
No, it was one of my favorite episodes when I was growing up, and I just remembered it's funny. I didn't know.
Feels like a cap of the week if you did the NFL.
Well, I didn't know what a 49er was, and I'm like, what's a minor 49er? And now I'm just thinking back to that. But yeah, it's funny.
I wonder how we could tie that into what the result of the game will be. What happened? So I'm assuming he's caught at the end.
He's caught, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was like a pretty crappy villain.
He was a bad villain?
Like, he was a bad villain.
The 49ers are kind of a villain to the NFC.
Yeah, but and I'm sensing maybe a crappy one here. So,
well, all right.
Maybe it's the Packers, Ziggy.
We'll have to see what happens in
at least
in
I think his name was Minor 49er.
One more thing, too. Remember in the NFC, Ziggy's like, are we serious? In the NFC Championship game, remember how effective Brock Purdy's legs were? That was one of the first games where we really saw him extremely effective as a runner. And if his arm's banged up here, we'll see. We'll see how Green Bay at the pass rush, which has been kind of hit and miss this year, mostly miss. Get after Brock, make him uncomfortable, and will Brock be able to extend plays? Like if his shoulders hurt, that's just another element that goes in Green Bay's favor. So
just look, here he is. Look, a massive beard.
Oh, he's not a good villain.
A hat
he's
over.
Just a dude.
You can't see his eyes. It's just like a guy. He has got long pants.